Welcome to this week's edition of the Weightlifting Platform. In the movie Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts' character calls sitting in the grass for a picnic copping a squat. Well, here, squats are no picnic. The Weightlifting Platform is brought to you by the Pan American Weightlifting Federation. I'm your host, Richard Mason. On this week's show, we'll sit down with an up-and-coming American athlete and her coach, and we'll talk to the duo about a good relationship and the trajectory of success from first meeting all the way to the podium. Strap in for our tip of the week, how to best use those devices for pulls and other exercises. And on our regular feature, Good to Know, we'll talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger's hero. But first, here are the headlines. The International Weightlifting Federation has released their constitutional package that all national federations will vote on before the Tokyo Olympics. The package, available on the IWF website, includes input from various stakeholders, including national federations, the Association of Summer Olympic Federations, World Anti-Doping, and others. Some federations have put together highly refined proposed amendments, while others have stuck with plainly worded suggestions. Age limits, term limits, and who decides if a national federation should be sanctioned instead of just the athletes in a doping situation, those are all popular topics of debate. The conference begins at the end of June. The Tokyo Olympic Committee has released an amended playbook setting out the COVID rules for coaches, athletes, and others at the delayed games. The document outlines what's expected before the games in terms of testing, mask wearing, and vaccination. Athletes don't have to be vaccinated before heading to the games, but will need to show 2 negative test results within 96 hours of jetting off to the Japanese capital. They're asked to keep their circle of contacts small for the 2 weeks before travel. Other recommendations and requirements include hand washing, social distancing, and other common sense measures. The playbook also says that the playbook requirements are subject to change. Weightlifting at the 2020 Games is scheduled to start July 24th. 2021 at the Tokyo International Forum with the women's 49 kilo category. The Ibero-American South American Championship and Olympic Games qualifying open kicks off with the opening lift soon. Along with Pan American entrants and others from the Spanish-speaking world gathering in Cali, Colombia starting May 10th, athletes from Belarus, Iran, Spain, Denmark, Germany, and Japan are all on the final start list for the push to the place in the Olympic Games. And those are today's headlines. Now, good to know. It was the Second World War. Americans of Japanese descent were sent to camps. It was here that a bored young Japanese American discovers weights. Through his hard work and determination, Tommy Kono builds up his body 1 rep at a time and falls in love with strength sports. He goes on to win gold at 2 Olympics, 1952 and 1956, silver in his 3rd Olympics in 1960. He won 3 Pan Am Games in his weight category. He was a multiple Mr. Universe champ in bodybuilding. I was at the Arnold Championships in 2012 in Columbus, USA, and as Arnold Schwarzenegger himself was being surrounded by his fans, across the room, he spotted Tommy Kono, and he brought all of his friends over with the enthusiasm of a true fan to meet his own childhood hero. And that is good to know. Now, time to talk. Danny Camargo has been around a barbell for decades, first as an athlete, then transitioning to a coach about 20 years ago. Meredith Allwine is a 71 kilo athlete who's totaling in the 235 neighborhood, who's transitioning from the junior ranks to the senior, with top of the podium finishes at the Rome World Cup and Cup of the Blue Swords pre-pandemic, and the 2020 Pan American Championships late last month. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Hi.
First to you, Danny, how did you first get involved in weightlifting?
Yeah, my entrance was pretty unique. Not that much different than some, but it was through American football. I was a young boy playing Little League football. I was a small child, small boy, And as much as I really enjoyed the sport and loved the sport, I was just getting trampled on the field. And so my coach, my very first coach who developed me, kind of found me in the weight room and said, "Hey, well, let's get you strong for football." And what he did was teach me the snatch and clean and jerk first, above all other types of weight training. I fell in love, got hooked, and I actually quit every other sport, quit football right then and there, and committed to specializing in weightlifting.
Now, Meredith, how did you find yourself with a barbell in your hand for the first time?
I had played a bunch of different sports growing up, and I sort of stumbled across CrossFit and started getting pretty serious with that. So I started taking the weightlifting classes there to get better at that part of it and just fell in love with that and decided just to stick with that and compete there.
Now, Meredith, what is it that you look for? We're here to talk about the coach-athlete relationship. What is it you look for when you're looking for a coach?
I really look for a coach whose personality I can mesh with well. Obviously, programming, especially at the elite level, is very important. But for me, any conflict with coaches has come from a personality issue or a lack of trust. So for me, trust is super important as well as just being able to mesh and communicate well.
Now, Danny, you've coached many different athletes, different styles, different abilities, different levels of commitment. What is it that you look for when an athlete first approaches you about you coaching them?
The very top of the list there for me, and there's a few things, but it would be mindset. Um, and mindset doesn't always just mean positivity. It doesn't always mean working hard. It means coping and dealing as well with problems and failures and being as productive as possible. A lot of people might think the first thing we look for as coaches, or at least for me, is strength. If they're strong, then that's the main thing, or technique, or other physical attributes. But as important as they are, I think the number one thing is their mindset, their attitude, and their view of themselves, which also includes athletic maturity. And that's what Meredith has. And I think that was really a quick union when we started working together.
Now, still with you, Danny, at this point, you've been around for a long time. Can you tell right away who's going to be a good fit for you personally? Or could you also tell who might go on to win world titles and national titles and all the things, but maybe not be the best fit for you right away? Can you tell that the second they walk in the door the first time you meet?
No, believe it or not, no, no. You would think a coach with experience can pick out the elite right away. That's a really fast, easy thing for us to do. But the truth of the matter is, it is not. It does take a little bit of time. Whether it's a personal fit between me and the athlete, or a champion set in the sport, it isn't something that you can determine right away. And I say that because even though there are certain attributes that stand out immediately and you have high hopes right away, you don't really know if you have a champion or if there's really long-term success until you've done both all the great, positive, fun things, but as well as getting through problems and failures and dealing with getting through the hard times of the sport. So I wouldn't say determining or being able to predict a champion is something you can do in a first session. It definitely takes a while.
Now, Meredith, you have our coaching. We're working with Danny. You guys are not in the same city. You're not in the same postal code. You're not in the same zip code. You're not in the same area code. How does that work for you? How do you guys do it? And why is it you've chosen the coach, Danny, who lives away?
Since I've been in a higher level of weightlifting, I have pretty much always been a remote athlete with all of my coaches. Um, So when I made this last coaching switch, I knew I really wanted it to be the last one, and I really wanted to find the coach that was going to take me to the games or to my highest potential and be my coach until the end. So I took my time really looking into coaches, talking to coaches, and figuring out who was the best fit for me and who I thought would take me there. And Danny ended up being that coach, regardless of where he lived. He was the one I wanted. So for me, I'm very comfortable being remote, sending him my training videos, and we text and we call almost every day, but if not, like every other day. But we definitely talk all the time about weightlifting or anything and everything. So
Now, Danny, you were telling me off camera that you have a relationship with more than just Meredith. You also communicate with others around her.
Yeah, yeah, and she's right. Part of what I think makes us what we are becoming, we're both very honest in the fact that relative to her career so far and mine, we're new. We're about 9 months in. We're approaching our first year, full year together. So there's still a lot in my eyes that we have in front of us and to learn. But part of doing that isn't just talking technique and watching her videos that she sends me, and just talking about training in general, or her visits, because she's been doing a really good job of visiting at least once per month and seeing me in Florida. I intend to do the same and going to her in the next few months, especially ahead of a big competition. But it's the conversations that are outside of weightlifting. I think that really helps us. Sometimes I'll reach out to her or she to me, and it has nothing to do with weightlifting. But when she began working with me, I saw right away she's got a great support group with her family, her parents, her dad, her mom, and close loved ones. And so there are some times, whether she knows it or not, I reach out to her dad and have conversations with him as well, and keep him updated. I think keeping them all abreast of her progress has been huge for just Meredith and I.
Now, USA has two senior coaches, Mike Gattone and Piros Demas, who take the lead at most international events. Is there a process that you go through as a coach and as an athlete to go from your coach to America's coach?
Yeah, I do, and it's really easy, believe it or not. As a younger coach, I may not have been, but it's easy to sort of transfer, if you will, or share in Meredith's success with Piros and with Mike. Or should there be a different assigned coach for a specific tournament that I'm not present for? She's on her way to a camp, an elite training camp, in the next few weeks, days actually, and so those sort of not even handoffs, but sharing is quite easy. And it's easy for me because when I was a boy and I was an elite lifter, the system of USA weightlifting was a little different. It was centralized. There was an Olympic training center, and it was really customary for athletes to develop at home and develop to a level, and then almost, if you will, move on to the Olympic training center career. And that's what I was exposed to. And being so common, I find myself now as a coach with the same scenario. And the fact that both Mike and Paris have worked with Meredith before she started with me. And so I'm coming in, if you will, not late, but the most latest coach to work with her. So when she returns to work with them, it's a very easy thing.
Now, Meredith, can you tell us where you're at when it comes to the potential of Tokyo? Is it a possibility? Is it a sure thing? Have you booked a ticket? Have you are you already got sushi reservations? What's your situation?
So we just got the updated rankings list from Pan Am's today, actually, in Europeans and Asians. I think for the 76s, I am sitting number 9, but that is still with 2 Chinese girls and a Korean girl. So I should be sitting like at least 8 or 7 or 6. But um, Kate and I obviously has been amazing this whole quad, and she has that top spot in the 76s locked up. So I will pretty much be sitting at home watching her and cheering her on. It's been her position the entire quad, and 2020
Yeah.
wasn't really actually a goal of mine since I was in college full time from 2016 to 2020. So I'm excited that I ranked so high, and I'm excited to cheer on the other girls and push for 2024.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for taking the time. Don't go anywhere. We wish you the best of luck, not only with 2024 and beyond, but we also wish you best of luck with our next segment on the clock. I'm not sure if you've seen the program, but this is how it goes. Weightlifters should be used to the pressure of a 1 minute clock. Coach, you were a weightlifter. Meredith, you're a weightlifter. Get ready. We're going to ask you some weightlifting related questions and some questions that are just plainly, we're just curious. Let's find out. In 3, 2, 1, ready. Danny, what's Meredith's best quality?
Her sunshine smile. It helps everywhere in her training.
Fantastic. Meredith, what's Danny's most annoying habit?
Just coming up to you and taking bites of your food all the time.
Well, that's not fair. Danny, what is your favorite type of food on your plate or on hers?
Anything protein, meat, if it's there, I'm gonna grab it. Carbs, I can do without.
Okay. Meredith, the song you want to crank up the loudest when you're training in the gym?
Any like pop punk, any pop though, if we're having a good day, just put on some like Taylor Swift or something and it will get us going.
I'll have to look up Popfo when I get off this. Danny, if you could live anywhere outside of Florida, where would it be?
Believe it or not, Southern California. Anywhere in the world, love Southern California.
Okay, Danny, who plays you in the Hollywood version of your story?
Mario Lopez. I wish.
Okay, Meredith, who would you cast as Danny?
I guess I could say that, or we could go with The Rock because he's so big and buff.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well done. Well done. Thanks, guys, for taking the time to talk to us. We wish you the best of luck going forward. And now it's time for our tip of the week. This week's tip focuses on a device that can be a great assistance to weightlifters in the gym, on the training platform, anywhere but on the weightlifting platform. Here's Emily Godley from UK Weightlifting on her use of straps.
Hi, I'm Emily Godley. I've recently won the European Championships in the 71 kilo class, and today I'm going to talk to you about lifting straps and why they're beneficial for weightlifting. So straps basically allow you to work on your technique and load up the bar a little bit without worrying about your grip. And the focus during our lifts is to keep our arms nice and long and relaxed, and these straps just allow you to do that. So I'll show you how to attach your straps onto the bar. So you pop them over your wrists, and then from there the straps come under the bar, and then you wrap them over just once and use your hand to tighten those straps up. The other hand is a little bit more tricky because you have to do it with one hand, and then from there you can do exercises like high pulls or deadlifts and just not worry about your grip. So here we go. So they're really, really useful. I recommend every weightlifter gets one. So yeah, give them a go.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of the Weightlifting Platform, brought to you by the Pan American Weightlifting Federation. If you like what you see, please bookmark us here on YouTube. You could also like us, like the IWF on Facebook. You can tweet out to the IWF at IWFNET on Twitter. I'm Richard Mason. Good lifting.